It's time to mind your business with me, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda business starts here. So welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm your host, Jamillah Lodge. It's a pleasure to meet you, Kara Doers. I said that right?
Doers, yep.
Doers, okay. And you're the owner of Cheekie Chef.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, why you decided to start this business, and your passion. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am the Cheekie Chef. I am Kara Doers. I'm a self-taught chef. Everything that I've cooked, I taught myself. I actually cook by ear, so
what?
I just know. I don't know.
By the sound of the food cooking?
I just mix ingredients.
Okay.
And it just comes out perfect every time. I don't follow no recipes. I don't measure anything. I just simply cook by ear.
What? I've never heard of that. Okay. So you have to have grown up in a family that cooked,
yes.
somebody.
Yes. So both of my grandmothers cooked.
Okay.
So I was always around that. I think my dad, he was always just so creative in the kitchen, like different sauces. And I'm like, what? He's like, I made this sauce. And I'm like, okay, this is so creative and interesting to me that I'm like, okay, I want to do this type of stuff too. So when I got in the kitchen, I was just always innovative and creative.
Mm-hmm. So give me an example of something that you have done, maybe that no one else has done before.
So I feel like, I have a taco pop-up that runs twice a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. One's at Legends Bar, the other one is at Bay Club. And my taco stand, I feel like separates me from the rest is because I have different sauces. And I am a sauce girl. I love sauce on everything. I need extra sauce. Like anytime I go somewhere, I'm like, can I get an extra one? I don't even know if I need it yet, but I just need the extra sauce.
Okay.
So I feel like when it comes to sauces, I like to play around with different variations because I feel like that adds just the added factor on top of my food tasting good. I feel like my uniqueness is my sauces.
Okay. All right. So when did you officially start the Cheekie Chef?
I officially started the Cheekie Chef in 2019, just before the pandemic started.
Okay.
I started it originally as just like a journey, like just to follow my journey while I cooked. I'm like not as confident. Like I'm just like, let's see if people want to watch me cook. And people like took to it. I don't know if because people were actually bored or they actually were enjoying me cooking. But every time was like, I had a different connection with people. People were like, I just like the sound of it. I just like to hear your bracelets going back and forth. And I'm just like, okay, they like this. And people were like, you're actually good at this. And I was surprising myself every time. Like cooking something like, how did I do that? And so, yeah, it pretty much started 2019 right in COVID.
So you were doing videos, I guess.
Yeah.
And so you were cooking online.
On Instagram for people to see, just making videos. The videos had zero quality. But it didn't matter because everybody was loving them. They were tuning in to see me cook these meals. When I go back to look at that video, I'm like,
why were people watching that? But it's obvious you have this fabulous, engaging personality. And so people were responding to that, you know? So fast forward, after you started doing the cooking videos, is that what kind of gave you the idea that maybe you could do this outside of your home?
So definitely it came from that and then people started to ask me to buy my food. At the time I was actually living in Toronto. So I'm like, I was already a little bit standoffish because I'm like, I'm bringing a whole different cuisine. At the time, my boyfriend, he's loving the food. He's saying this food's so good, you could sell your food. But I'm like, that's because we live with each other.
Right.
Like,
you have to say that.
Yeah, you have to say that. So I'm like, I'm so afraid for people to want to try it and want to buy it. So then people started asking. I had a close friend and she was a wedding planner. And she also lives in Toronto. And she was like, oh, I'm going to take your food I want to have your food at like a wedding. I can't remember if it was a reception or something. And I'm like, girl, like... I'm like, okay.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and so then it just started off. I'm like, okay, I think people really like my food. Then my boyfriend's friends were coming over to have it. We were just inviting more people. Everyone's like talking about my food. So then I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I can make money off of this. That's just the next step that I have to take to turn my passion into my dream.
Reality. Yeah. I mean, that's an exciting thing to know that what you enjoy doing, you can actually make money off of and sustain yourself.
Yeah.
So when did you actually start with the pop-up shops?
I started with the pop-up shops in 2023. So I moved back here into Bermuda full-time in 2023. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, my mom's like, why are you back? And I'm just like, I'm ready to move back. I had lived in Toronto for 6 years straight. So I was like ready to just, the COVID had everybody locked down. I wanted to change the scenery. So I was like, I'm going to come back here. So I came back here. It was nice to be around my family, my friends. Everybody's pushing me, encouraging me. Everybody wants to taste my food because Bermudians have been watching me cook online for this long. They're like, we want your food. We want your food. We want your food. So then one of my friends reached out to me. He's one of the owners of Legends Bar. And he said he had heard about these tacos that I make, and he wanted to give me a chance to do taco night. And taco night, at first I'm like, tacos? Like, you can cook that at your house. Why would they want to buy my tacos? So then I just came up with a menu. I came up with this idea to do Taco Tuesday there every Tuesday. And what started off as so small, like I watched a video of me actually chopping up the stuff, and the containers were so small. Like the topping containers were like literally so small. And I'm like, wow, I grew so much in the last few years. And so that's how the pop-up started. And then last year I got my second pop-up. People are trying to get me to do my third pop-up, but I'm just one person.
Right.
So I'm like, I would love to do as many pop-ups as I can, but I haven't got to the point in my business journey to be able to trust more people and to bring people onto my team. I have one person that works for me, and I love her to death because I can trust her. She helps me. She reaches out to me. She promotes me. She does everything that I would want in a worker, and so it's going to be hard finding somebody like her.
Yeah. And so how did that go? Because that is part of the process, right? Once you start a business, you have to be able to scale it. Yeah. And it's obvious that people are telling you, look, hey, we want you to do more of this. So how did you identify this person that you're working with?
I actually asked my sister, does she know anybody? And it was her friend. She's like, oh yeah, my friend would do it for you. And I'm like, okay, like, let's just bring her on. So I knew her as a close family friend, we're related. So I'm like, okay, like, come on. At that time, it was still only a year old. So I was still learning it as well. Like, I'm just like, I'm still learning the business ideas. I know I'm bringing in money. I'm excited. What turned into small money turned into bigger money. And it was like, okay, like, I can afford to pay you now. So, like, come on board. And that process was, she made it smooth. Like, that process was pretty easy, and like she's been with me for almost a year now. So it's nice having her. I can literally call her for even if we're having like a special pop-up, because sometimes we tend to do that at different locations, and she's just like, I'll do it.
Oh, that's great. So what is your plan? Because it's obvious that you have to expand. So have you given any thought to what it's going to require for you to be able to do that?
I have, and it kind of scares me, which I feel like most entrepreneurs go through. And to have that journey of like, you can see the bigger picture, you know exactly what you want as an entrepreneur, but it's the fear of being like, is it gonna work out? Like, how do I know I can do this, pull this off? How do I even know I have the financial to back it up? Like, it's so much to it that you kind of sometimes doubt yourself, but I'm learning to like trust the process. Like, timing is everything when it comes to your business. Like, don't be in a race to get things done. So I'm just like, I'm enjoying the process. Because even when I look back to see how much I've grown, I'm just like, a year ago, I'm like, I'm not going to get that opportunity. No one's going to take me serious. Like, and then when the opportunity falls on my lap, I'm just like, they actually take me serious. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something to be said for having good food. Like, I speak to entrepreneurs, and sometimes they have this idea of what they want the restaurant or something to look like. And I'm like, well, when are you going to focus on what the food tastes like? And you see businesses or restaurants specifically come and go because the food may not be up to par. It might look great, but if it doesn't taste good. And I think you are benefiting from the fact that people enjoy your food. which is great.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part.
Yeah.
And then the rest is like, okay, now how do I find location and staff to work with? So, I mean, you already got the first part down. So how would you say, I know you lived in Toronto for a while, but how would you say your Bermudian heritage and culture influenced the way you cook and the way you prepare your food?
So I thought about this question all last night. So long, because I'm like, how does it? But I thought of like a scenario when I first moved to Toronto, and I remember when I used to cook these meals in front of my boyfriend, because that's how the meal started to really come into play. Like, I got in this relationship, and I just used to cook and come up with recipes that I didn't even know that I was capable of. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to cook oxtail, and then I'll just do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So when that happened, I remember him watching me cook, like starting to watch me cook. And at the time, our relationship was new. So he's like, can you cook? And I'm like, I can cook. And I remember I took the sugar out to put into like something. And he's like, you can't put sugar in that. And I say that story to say, like, my Bermudan heritage comes, I feel like we put sugar in everything. And I never realized that until I had someone else look at me and say, are you crazy?
Right.
What are you doing?
Right,
and I'm like, this is what we do at home. And I feel like that's always just resonated with me. Like, for me, sugar is home. I literally am cooking something and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't put sugar in it. I've got to go back and put sugar in it now. So I feel like my Bermudian heritage, I feel like, yes, we are something to do with us and sugar.
I love that. But sometimes you need it to cut, like,
you do.
You know, the bitter or the tart.
You do.
That's interesting. That's so funny. And I think the fact that you, like you said, you're self-taught. So surely if you were, I don't know, at cordon bleu or something like that, you pulled out the sugar for spaghetti, they'd be like, excuse me, clutch the pearls. What are you doing? But it tastes good.
It
and
does.
That's the key.
Yeah,
you know, you want people to enjoy what they're doing because you're cooking food, so you're eating it. That is so interesting, but it's true.
It is.
It is really true. So, what would you say your favorite thing to cook is?
Lamb chops.
Okay.
I love cooking lamb chops. I pride myself in saying I cook the best lamb chops, but I just take so much pride in cooking it that I feel like that's my favorite thing to cook. That's the best thing I cook. Like, I just need a lamb chop competition just so I can
so everybody else can know, right?
I'm just like, okay, let me win and then let me taste everybody else's lamb chop.
That is something. So, okay, if you had to describe like what your culinary, I don't know, expertise is. You know how they say French chef, Southern cooking. Like, what would you describe your genre of cooking as?
So I did one. So this is another story as to how I came up with the genre. I did my first pop-up in Toronto, and I was so excited. The pop-up was so beautiful. I got everything handmade. I came with my logo all over the place, plastered in the room. And at the end, the girl who put on the pop-up, she was like, you have elevated comfort food. And ever since then, my genre of food is elevated comfort food because I feel like it is comfort food, but I'm just taking it to another level.
I like it. Now tell me about the name, the Cheekie Chef. Like, where did that come from?
So my nickname is Cheekie, and everybody calls me Cheekie. When I first started it, I'm just like, I'm just going to go with this name. Because at the time, I'm just like, I'm not taking this seriously. I'm making a page because we're all in COVID and I want to show you guys I can cook. So I'm just like, I'm just going to be the Cheekie Chef. It came to a point maybe like, I want to say after about 3 years of having the business name, I wanted to rename my name. I was like, I want to rename it. But my mom was like, you're becoming such a household name that you can't do that now because no one's going to match it with you. And it's just so easy that you're named Cheekie and your business is called the Cheekie Chef.
So why, firstly, why did you want to change it? And what were you thinking to change it to?
I didn't know if people were going to take the Cheekie Chef seriously.
Got you.
And that was bothering me from a business aspect. Like, I'm just like, I want to be in I want to be in this type of limelight, and how can I connect with these people if my name is the Cheekie Chef? And then I just like really studied people's business names at one point, and I'm just like, it doesn't really matter what the name is. It's like what you carry, who you are, like what you bring to the table. All those type of things matter way more than the name of your business. Like the name of your business, yes, it can hold a lot of weight, but it's gonna hold a lot of weight based on those other things. So I kind of let go of that idea, and after that, I was just like, I want the Cheekie Chef to be a household name. I want to put it everywhere. I want you to see my logo and know that that's me.
You. I love it. So when you say you want it to be a household name, how do you think that's going to happen?
So in the beginning, well, during COVID, after I was so bored of making cooking videos, I decided to come up with the idea of making seasonings. And I was like, I had came up with this, blessed with this dream that I'm going to have this big seasoning line, and it's going to be all over the internet. Celebrities are going to be like, I use the Cheekie Chef. Everybody's going to be like, I want the Cheekie Chef seasoning. And so I started it, but I didn't finish it. And so I feel like that is my goal right now, to focus on that, because a lot to do with cooking is labor, and it's a lot of strenuous stress on my body. I have to learn to like separate myself. I have to learn when I'm relaxing to relax, to put down my phone, to de-stress, to be calm, like center myself, because if I don't do that, it's just like I exhaust myself so easily, because I'm just constantly standing up. My back's constantly hunched over. My neck is hurting all the time just from cooking all the time. So yeah,
that's the next step.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the most logical follow-on from that, since you the sauce lady, would be sauces too.
Yeah, sauces too. So I definitely want to look into sauces too. It just goes back to that, like, doubting yourself, like making sure I don't doubt myself, because I'm like, I wasn't blessed with this dream for no reason. So I'm just like, and because that has been, seasonings and sauces have always been what I wanted to do. Like, I'm like, I want a store for seasonings and sauces. I want them all over the internet. I want you to be able to order it off of Amazon. That's what I want for the Cheekie Chef. I don't want it to just be about catering. I do love to cook, but at a time, it's just like, I also need to separate myself from the cooking and see how else I can make money off of this business.
Yeah, and then you want to, going back to what you said about how it treats your body, you need some other kind of way, like you said, something a little bit more passive that doesn't require you having to do it. Yeah. So I think once you identify maybe a manufacturer or packaging partner or something like that, then that will allow you to get that out there. So in terms of the business part, right, because that's part of identifying who you could work with to do that. What has been, I guess, one of the most challenging things that you had to address when you were starting this business?
So, I feel like customer service is it's a big one.
Yeah.
Because it's just me. I'm my own accountant, my own customer service, my own social media marketing. I'm everything. So customer service has definitely been challenging. Because sometimes you have to let people down. Not all money's good money. And I have to teach myself that. In the beginning, I wanted to take every single order that was coming through. I didn't care if I was losing money. I didn't care. I was like, I'm taking it. And I feel like the most challenging part has been to teach myself that not all money's good money. You have to, in order to get your audience to respect you, you have to get them to take you serious. If you say, okay, on these days I accept deposits and on these days I don't, they're going to be like, okay, we don't need to take her serious. Right. But when you put down, like, you have to, like, lay the law, and you literally have to be like, this is how it's going because I am the boss of my business. And if you don't like it, then you can feel free to choose someone else. But I had to teach myself that. I'm even still teaching my mom that, because my mom's like, no, you should just let him have one extra day. I'm like, no. She's like, you're such a strict business owner. But I'm like, you have to be, because this is your baby. Like, you have to take and nurture this baby every day. And in order for people to take you serious, you have to take yourself serious first. And so that has been a hard thing to teach myself. But I literally have lost out on money because I'm like, you cannot message me a day before for catering. You cannot message no place for a day before for catering. So when someone messages me a day before catering, that kind of like sets me off, because I'm like, that means you don't take me seriously. I'm just like, you can't do that. You can't say, oh, I'll pay you later, because they don't allow you to do that at Marketplace. So I feel like I had to learn to take myself seriously and learn to be like really strict, but in a in a more business tone when I'm talking to my clientele, so that they understand, like, okay, these are her rules and it's no exceptions.
So you taught yourself that, and that's the impressive part, because sometimes, people don't learn that.
They don't.
Early, right?
Yeah.
And so they suffer as a result of it. So what happened that made you take this hard line or hard approach when it comes to that kind of stuff? Something had to have happened.
So at first I think I always used to take orders without no deposit.
Okay.
And it happened to me. One time it happened with somebody that I didn't want it to happen with. And I was so hurt because I had already bought all the product. I was ready to go. I was ready to execute the job. And they were like, we don't want it no more. And I feel like from that day forward, my mom's always like, I'll never forget that day. Because my mom's like, I'll buy the stuff from you. Don't worry. Like, my mom's always good like that. Like, she's just always like trying to fix the problem for me. And she's like, I'll buy all the groceries from you. I'm like, no, that's not the point. Because the principle is that you're supposed to put in a deposit so I can avoid this type of stuff. And because that happened to me, it just made me just more strict with my business. And things happen from time to time, like little things, and it just makes me become more stricter. It just... I don't even like to use the word strict. I'm just like protecting what's mine. Like, so it's like, in order to protect my peace, protect my business, protect my finances, I have to lay these laws down, because that's how it goes in the real world. I may be a small business, but I want to get myself there where I am a big company. And in order to do that, I have to lay down these laws.
Rules of engagement, right?
Yes.
And I think people will respect you, and they know what they can and can't do. And what they say, people will treat you how you let them treat you. So you do have to kind of lay that law down. You said, well, it might happen today, but not tomorrow. Okay, so what are some of the misconceptions that people have about running a food business?
I think the misconceptions that people definitely have is that it's not so strenuous. I think people think, like, you have all the time in the world. Like, how long does it take you? It must not take you that long. And I'm like, it takes so much more than just preparation, making sure I'm well rested, making sure I'm ready to go, making sure... I think just not even a food business, a business alone, like, I am my own boss. So that means I have to take full accountability for my whole business. That means when I wake up in the morning, it's up to me to get up at a certain time. There's no one saying, hey, you're late to work. Hey, you didn't come in today. It's up to me. And I feel like it speaks volumes to my audience, like how I come to work, how I present myself. So I feel like that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that I feel like people think, oh, she's not doing enough. She's an entrepreneur. She's got all the free time in the world. Like, I'm just like...
You work more hours than someone who works for someone else. It's true.
Yeah, the prepping alone for having a food business, I feel like people don't realize. The groceries, the grocery bill, the gas, it's so much that goes into it. Like the electricity. My electricity is higher than everybody else, I guarantee, because I'm just in the kitchen so much. Like the gas stove is on, or the electric stove is on. It's just a lot.
So when it comes to cooking, are there any preferred either tools or like you said, gas versus electric? Like do any of those things or equipments make a difference in the output of the food that you prepare?
So not to toot my own horn, but I just think, like,
use anything.
Yeah, I have become so innovative in that kitchen. I constantly surprise myself. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, like, I don't even need that. Even for ingredients, like, I could literally be like, I'm going to swap this out for this. They're not going to have no idea today that I even did that, because I just feel like I know it's become such a natural skill, and it really is a natural born skill, but it has grown. And so because of the growth that it has, I just feel like now I don't even second guess myself. If I know that I can make a good product, I'm going to do that by all means, whatever's in front of me.
So do you think, in terms of how your palate and how you taste, like you said, you cook from hearing. I ain't never heard that before. So what is it that gives you this kind of God-given talent, you think?
So when I say cook by ear, you know how, like, people play piano by ear? Like, just off the mind?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I mean. And I don't... how can I explain it? Can you repeat your question again?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the magic, right?
Okay.
Because it is like magic to me. Like most people have recipes, they need to follow, directly. Like I don't know if I switch out deal for time, if it's how it's going to impact.
Right.
And it sounds to me, based on what you're describing, that you have the ability to know, like from what seasoning you're using, that if you switch this out, it's not going to change it. It's still going to be how. I just want to know how you do that.
I don't even know how. I feel like it is magic for me. Like, I'm just like, in there, it's such a, like I keep saying, it's such a natural born skill that I don't doubt myself when I get into the kitchen. Like, I'm like, I can make it happen. I can make it happen.
Well, confidence. That's the magic.
Confidence.
It's confidence. So have you ever been in a situation where it didn't quite happen? And how did you adjust? Like something you were fixing or cooking up and you were like, yes, it's going to be bomb. And then at the end you were like, it's not bomb.
That happens quite often because I'm so human. So, but I know in recent months I did a catering order and it didn't come out how I wanted to that day. And I really feel like it was just a switch of like the oil I was using. And I had contacted the customer and because I'm, like you said, everyone loves good food and this is my name, this is my baby. So one thing I'm always going to do is clear the air now. This wasn't my best thing today. And I was like, I will take it off. I will fully refund you for that option. And she was like, no, I'll take it. She's like, your food's good. I want it, even if it's messed up. And even if I have like a bad week at taco night, like I'm like, it doesn't taste like it's supposed to. And the people are like, it still tastes good. And I'm like, okay. Because my taste palette, like you previously said, my taste palette is crazy. Like I'm very I don't know. I'm very judgmental when it comes to food. I feel like I have a different taste palette. Like, I'm always just like, no, disgusting. Terrible. But when I love something, I love something. I'm not afraid to tell you, like, that was the best. I say it all the time. Like, I taste something and then I tell everybody about it and then it's all gone when I go to buy it. And it makes me so mad.
You got a gatekeep.
Yeah,
right?
and so now I'm like gatekeeping food products and I know people who cook really good things and I'm like, I'm not telling no one because when I tell people, you guys buy it all and it makes me so angry. So I'm like, my mom's always like, you have good taste buds. You can literally sell anything because you're just like, this is the one. Everybody go buy it. Whereas if it doesn't taste good, I'm just not even going to talk about it.
Right. Okay. So I have a question about the ingredients that you have access to. So you were in Toronto, which of course is bigger.
Yes.
You have more access to things. So moving back to Bermuda, how did that impact you? I know you were like, what you mean I can't? What you mean they don't have it? So just what has your experience been like and how have you had to adjust?
So I feel like Bermuda has definitely made me more innovative because I was in a shell shock when I first came back. Just the prices alone. Still the prices. Every day when I look at the cash register when I'm going there, because mostly I buy my vegetables from the grocery store because I can't buy them in bulk. They're going off before I can even get to them. So I go to the regular grocery store to buy my vegetables and I look at the cash register and I'm like, $5 for one red pepper is crazy. Like, I'm like, okay, we're at the red pepper seed so I could just grow a tree.
Right.
Because at this point, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So the price was a shell shock to me. Not having access to certain things was just like, okay. I remember I used to drive around and like be like, okay, I know this grocery store has this. I know this. So usually, I'm not going to lie, on my grocery shopping days, you can find me up and down the road because I'm literally like, I know this grocery store has this for this price. I know this. Because I had to like literally adjust. So when I had to adjust, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to make this work by any means necessary because this is my baby and I want it to grow. And if that means I have to drive all the way to Linda's in Devonshire, then drive all the way back to Harrod Bay Marketplace to get this, I'm going to make it work because that's how I want for my business.
Yeah, you got to make it happen. But I can imagine coming back and you were like, wait, what does that say? What is that price? And then would it inspire you, like you said, to grow your own garden or create? Because some things you can grow.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's fresh.
Exactly.
So let's talk about what's next for the Cheekie Chef. So you already gave me a little heads up on the seasoning and the sauces. What other projects or events are on the horizon for you?
So definitely, I'll talk about what's new first. So,
okay.
Recently we just got into kids' school's hot lunch, which I never saw that in my horizon, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I feel like kids are your biggest critic.
Mm-hmm.
So
they will tell you, won't they?
Yeah, they will. And they have been so receptive. Like, what started off as a small number has grown so much in just February alone. I'm like, okay, they like it. They're telling their friends, they're telling their parents, like, something new's happening. And I like that. And so for the month of March, we're going to have 2 hot lunch days, which is exciting because we started off as 1 in February. So that's growing, and I love that for me. I'm looking to do a project that's more audience oriented, so like cooking class and stuff like that. I definitely want to bring that to the forefront for the Cheekie Chef, and that's probably it between the seasonings, the sauces, and that. But people are always asking me for cooking classes, and I'm always like, but I'm definitely looking for the space to do it in. I think right now that's where I need to start. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. Now, you during the school lunches, kind of, how did that come about? Like, which school?
So my mom's a school teacher.
Okay.
At Somerset Primary. So it's at Somerset Primary. And I'm enjoying it so much because just even packaging it, like, I'm so passionate about it that I'm like, I got these cute containers. And so for Valentine's Day, I did, like, sprinkles with cookies with heart sprinkles, and I'm like, I'm getting so into it. I'm like, I love this. I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do for March?
Oh, that is so cute. Who knew, right? Who knew? That's great though, because that is, as a parent myself, I know when the hot lunch forum comes around, I'm like, thank you, because that means I don't have to wake up at the crack of 9 and try and figure out what to give this child. So I think most parents probably feel like I do. So if it's available, they're going to take it. They're going to take it. And from a business perspective, that eases you up because it's like consistent.
Yeah,
you don't
and
have
it's guaranteed. So I don't have to worry. Like, where the pop-ups is a whole different side of the business, because it's like, I have to put it out there. I have to promote it. I have to make sure that my customers are coming back, where this is a whole different side of business, and I actually am enjoying it.
Yeah, good. So lastly, let's leave with some words of encouragement. Like, someone's looking at this and they're like, she's so young, she's so innovative. How did she do that? What would be one piece of advice you would give to, if not in the food industry, just in general, to any entrepreneurs who looking to get started?
I would say to push yourself. Push yourself, because there's going to be days that you don't want to do it. There's going to be days when you're just down. You're going to have your own personal problems. Life is going to life. And I feel like the most you can do is push yourself. There's days where I'm in the midst of cooking. I would literally just go to the bathroom and like, I'm not going to finish this. I can't do this today. I'm going to throw in the towel. But I think about my audience. I'm like, I can't let them down. They love the Cheekie Chef. I feel like I have the best clientele. I go missing for a few days and they're like, we miss you so much. Okay. And that's what pushes me. So like, as much as I'm pushing myself, when I hear that type of stuff, it pushes me to push myself even more.
Oh, I love that. Well, listen, congratulations. I'm wishing you all the success. Can't wait to see those sauces on the shelves.
Thank you.
And I think it can happen. And please do take advantage of any services that BDC can assist with as it relates to you being able to identify someone to help you with that.
Thank you.
Now let's let people know how to find you so they can book these catering jobs.
Yes. So I am on Instagram as the Cheekie Chef. My website is cheekiechef.com.
Okay.
So, and I have a TikTok called Chef Cheekie, and on there I do food reviews and different activities that's just like behind the scenes, just not only the Cheekie Chef, but in the life of Kara.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for minding your business with us. And remember, if you don't mind your business, who will?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.